Baseball, the very symbol of the outward and visible expression of the drive and push and rush and struggle of the raging, tearing, booming country we live in, Mark Twain wrote at the turn of the century. Dr. Paul Weiss, professor of philosophy at Catholic University in Washington, said, "Baseball is part of the tradition of almost every American family. It may be on the periphery of our lives, but it is ingrained in our psyches. It is a beautiful, graceful game, and it is social in a way that football and hockey aren't. Those two sports are adventitious." The Baseball Hall of Fame holds the history that in 1839, in Cooperstown, New York, an officer in the Federal Army and a Union general in the Civil War named Abner Doubleday created the scheme for playing baseball that we know and use today. But many scholars have debunked this myth, saying that the Egyptians were the ones who actually invented baseball, as the act of hitting a round ball with a long stick was used in fertility rituals in the age of the Egyptians. Doubleday never actually described himself as the inventor, and part of the confusion may stem from there being another man by the same name also from Cooperstown. However it came about, the first published rules of baseball were written in 1845 for a New York baseball club called the Knickerbockers. Alexander Joy Cartwright is commonly known as the father of baseball, as he laid out the rules for playing the game that we still use today. Through its many years of existence, it seemed as though nothing could stop baseball. Wars couldn't stop Major League Baseball, the Depression couldn't stop Major League Baseball. It seems the only threat to MLB is itself when the players threaten to strike. Jack Sparzan, a social commentator, once explained, "Whoever wants to know the heart and mind of America had better learn baseball." Over the years, baseball has mirrored many of the changes that America has faced, and has been a beacon of hope and stability amongst all the changes. When America entered World War II after the bombing at Pearl Harbor, baseball continued to be a staple not only in the lives of the soldiers, but also to the rest of America on the sidelines of the war. The All-American Girls Professional Baseball League was formed to help keep American spirits high during the war, as some of baseball's most famous male players were away as pilots and soldiers. President Roosevelt even declared, "I honestly feel that it would be best for the country to keep baseball going," and added that he would like to see more night games so that hard-working people could attend. He also noted that baseball could provide entertainment for at least 20 million people, and added that although the quality of the teams might be lowered by the greater use of older players replacing young men going into the military, this would not dampen the popularity of the sport. Similarly, the U.S. Army decided the best way to keep hundreds of thousands of its restless soldiers occupied and hopeful was to set up a massive athletics apparatus where baseball was the most popular game among the GIs, and a large league was formed with representatives from all divisions. There were many games played among the members of the U.S. Army and even among soldiers from the Allied countries. One game was so close all the way through that it kept the crowd of over 50,000 on its feet, cheering wildly and happily as any to come from Ebbets Field or the Polo Grounds. And just a few short years later, President Truman ordered desegregation across the country. The Supreme Court in Brown v. Board of Education outlawed separate but equal schools. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 opened public facilities to all races, and the civil rights movement across the country fought against segregation. Martin Luther King Jr. was revolutionary in his defiance against the American culture of his time, and is most well known in the civil rights movement. However, the Constitutional Rights Foundation argues that the movement really began in 1947 with Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in baseball. After college, Jackie entered the Army, and after the war, he decided to play baseball professionally and began his career in the Negro Leagues for the Kansas City Monarchs in 1945, as black players were not allowed to play in the major leagues at the time. His performance here was so impressive that he caught the eye of the Brooklyn Dodgers general manager Ricky Branch, who was looking for a talented black player like Robinson who was tough, intelligent, and a great athlete to break the color barrier. Jackie was tough as he played baseball as if it were war, intelligent as Robinson had attended college, which was rare among baseball players at that time, and of course one of the best in baseball. Soon, Ricky brought Robinson up to the majors, and they both agreed Jackie would not respond to any insults, threats, or taunts. He would fight with his baseball skills alone, just as MLK fought with peace. His achievements include winning MLB Rookie of the Year in 1947, voted to the All-Star team 6 times, MLB Most Valuable Player in 1949, 6 World Series, and winning one with the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1955. Robinson was elected into the Hall of Fame in 1962, and the game of baseball retired his number 42 across all MLB teams. Although his play on the field never showed it, the pressure he endured took its toll. Plagued with diabetes, blindness in one eye, high blood pressure, and heart trouble, Robinson died on October 24, 1972, at the age of 53. The Major League steps toward desegregation among the teams reflected the matters of the American culture at large, and Jackie Robinson was a pioneer in the challenges he faced, just as MLK was throughout the rest of the country. They both were intelligent men who knew the implications of their situations. They were both victims to their cause and their deaths. They both had patient, measured, peaceful approaches to social change, and they both had a lasting impact on American history. Major League Baseball also reflected America's mostly unified body and the governmental changes through their dealings with different baseball leagues and unions. Since 1839, when modern-day baseball was invented, there have been many different leagues that have come and gone, and very few have lasted. Each league wanted to be the dominant and most prosperous in the nation, and didn't seem to want anything to do with the others. It wasn't until 1903 that the American and National Baseball League started to cooperate and work with each other, but were still 2 separate organizations until 2000, when they merged into one Major League Baseball organization under one commissioner. Also, unions in America became more prevalent in the 1880s in order to give fair rights for workers, and along with them, the Players' Union was formed in MLB. Baseball at large shows the diversity of the U.S. population. On 2017 baseball opening day, 30% of major leaguers were born outside of the 50 United States. Those 259 players were mostly immigrants, with the exception of the 17 players from the U.S. territories of Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Latino catcher and Hall of Famer Ivan Rodriguez says, "A Major League Baseball clubhouse is the epitome of a melting pot. In fact, a MLB clubhouse is more diverse than the population at large." Jack Sparzan also says, "Baseball once expressed the unification of America, the teamwork involved. When we look at the triumphs of American technology on a large scale," he says, "we see the fine workings of a national machinery. Everybody in every department cooperating effectively with no gaps in time. It was like the making of a double play, perhaps, or a relay in which 9 men speedily click together to achieve a desired result. It's a beautiful thing to observe," he said. Modern-day baseball is closely related to American ideals and identity. It serves as an expression of patriotism. It has even reflected many of the changes that have taken place over the years in American history. Throughout baseball's history, it has been used to encourage and rally the nation and has helped establish our national spirit and identity.